Did you read that title right there? Well, that is right. You can now start officially earning in Illuvium via the current airdrop campaign. Let's go over the rules really quickly, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how much I think you can earn, depending on how much you play the game, how invested you are, and the sorts of things you accomplish in the game. It's all actually quite simple, but I bet you want to know just how much you could possibly get, so let's get into it. First up, the airdrop campaign is very simple in its first iteration. I expect this to evolve and change, but right now it's alluvial and playtime points. Basically, every single hour you play the game, you get 100 points. If you're just idling in the game, it is not going to count. You have to be playing the game. It's going to be very easy to identify bots as well, so I do not recommend going through that. After this, there are bonus points for alluvial collections. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, basically, if you capture every single tier 0 alluvial, you will get 200 points for that collection. Now, I don't recommend doing that. Tier 0 is a really big collection, and it's going to be a lot harder to get than actually some of these other ones. So, you've also got tier 2 collections, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5. I actually have a guide coming out very soon about the best way to farm the airdrop, a foolproof strategy, step-by-step guide on how to do that. So don't forget to subscribe down below so that you don't miss that video. But basically, if you get every single tier 3 alluvial, you got like Riptor and Slappin and stuff like that, if you capture them all, the Riptor, Riptorus, and Riplance, and Slappin, and Stabbin, and Slash, and do that for all of the tier 3 alluvials, you will then be able to get these points. You get 1,200 points. Will it take you 12 hours to do that? It will probably take you a lot longer than 12 hours to do that, but you'll be getting all of these at once, so it won't really be like that. And if you total them all together, you're looking at maybe 30, 40 hours, 30 hours for all these points. I reckon that equates about it. It probably takes you closer to 60 to 80 hours to get all the tier 5s. If you were going just for that, you have to build up to get to that point as well, so you need to consider all that. But here's the important part. How points translate to airdrop allocation. Your airdrop is calculated based on your points relative to the total points earned by all players. Here's the formula. Your airdrop equals your points divided by the total points by all players times the total open beta testnet airdrop allocation. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the testnet allocation, which is lasting up until Q2, so maybe even just a month from now, maybe a little bit longer, we're not sure, will be 20,000 ILV tokens. After that, for the rest, for mainnet, for the next 6 months, will be 180,000 tokens. That is a lot, but I'm going to cover both scenarios here. The 20,000 one's a lot easier to adjudicate, and the 180,000 allocation is going to be much harder to assess, but we're going to go through one step at a time. You can also get it from playing Illuvium 0, but we're not really going to talk about that today. So what we can see here is currently in the Immutascan Illuvium alluvials, there are 8,053 unique owners of alluvials. So we can assume that's how many people are currently playing the game. We're going to make some estimations on how many people could be playing in the future, how many I think should be playing right now, and all that sort of stuff as well. But basically, that's what we know so far. So if we jump into it, I've got players, 8,000. How many tokens are being distributed? 20,000. To calculate the USD price, I need to put in the current token price for ILV. When this video comes out, I have no idea what the price is going to be. If it's smack on 85, that would be hilarious and kind of weird. It's probably like 86 now. I have no idea. But yes, $85. The player base. This is what I'm estimating for the 4 different player archetypes, and we'll go through them all individually. But basically, I expect passerbys to be about 30%, people who download the game, play for a few hours, and then bail. Casual gamers, those who aren't really in the Illuvium community yet and maybe won't stay afterwards. They're just coming by, seeing what it's about. Maybe they enjoy the game a bit, but they don't want to play it that much, or they don't have that much time. That's what I'm calling casual gamer. Core community is those that have been here for a very long time and probably have a full-time job, and so they can't dedicate endless hours to playing the game, or maybe they have multiple jobs or something like that. They want to play a lot, but they simply don't have the time for other commitments, but they still go really hard. And then we have farmers, which is a combination of those in the community that will go really hard. They've got a lot of time in their hands and they're really good at the game, as well as those that are the Web3 airdrop farmers that are coming in to hard farm the game, get the tokens, and then move on to the next thing. We've got them at 4%. So for a passerby, they probably don't complete any collections. It would be highly unlikely. And then maybe they play for 6 hours. So they have 600 points on their leaderboard. For casual gamers, they might complete a tier 1 set while they're building up their team. And the tier 3 set is the next easily achievable set for some good points. And then playing for maybe 18 hours in total. And there's 3,200 of them. For the core community, maybe they capture pretty much all the sets. They've got 3 tier 3 sets, 2 tier 4 sets. Once you get to the stage 3 runs, the tier 3 and tier 4 sets do come, or at least they seem like they come quite naturally. And then maybe they've completed 1 tier 5 set as well. And they've played for 40 hours and they accumulate a total of 4,000 points from that. And 2,080 players in total in the core community there. And for farmers, which I will zoom in here, you've got, no, that's not going to work. All right. For farmers, you've got 2 tier 1 sets, 1 tier 2, 8 tier 3, because they're really grinding out those tier 3s, and tier 4s with 10, and then 3 tier 5s. I'll actually bump that up to 5. I think they can, maybe 4. They can go really hard on that. And their play time is 80 hours. It should probably be a lot higher, to be honest. Let's make it 120 hours. And then they're getting 12,000 points from that. So per player is where it starts to come to fruition, right? And so the passerby player has 1.4 million points in total for all the passerbys in total, which means 271 tokens allocated to them, which is 0.11 per player, which is $10 USD. If you're more of a casual player, if you think that fits you a lot better, then you might earn about $50 USD. For core community members who are playing actually quite a bit, I think they had about 40 hours of gameplay, looking at closer to $460 USD, which is a really decent payday for, let's say, 1 month and a half worth of work. And then farmers, which are going absolutely insane style, they're playing every single night, all night. They could be earning 1,500 or maybe even 2,000 USD worth of tokens just from going really hard at playing the game and maximizing all of their points. Very, very interesting. I think this is highly reasonable. I don't think this is too crazy. Obviously, depending on the token price, the USD thing would fluctuate, but that's unimportant. But now what we should look at is if the players bump up, if we go to the mainnet launch and everything and what that looks like. We would have 180,000 tokens. And let's say we have 50,000 players. Maybe the token is, I shouldn't speculate on the token price at all. I'm not going to talk about that. So 85 is what it currently is. As for the number of people, I think the passerbys is actually going to decrease. Casual increase quite considerably. And then probably the core community. No, let's say the core community is higher than that. Let's say the core community is 30%. Casual is 43%. And then farmers are 2% now instead of 3%. The passerby stats probably look really similar. Maybe they've completed 1 set of tier 1s and they've played like 10 hours. But the casual players, they've also completed the tier 4 set. They've got 2 tier 3 sets and they played for a full day. Core community members have definitely got a lot more of this, considering there's a lot more time to do this now. I'm just going to bump up all of these, probably 2 tier 1s, and maybe they've played for 80 hours. Remember, this goes for 6 months. So 80 hours is actually not that bad at all. And then the farmers, they've done some serious work. Now, we are considering this all costs money, but if we assume it's all free, it is all relative. The farmers are going to relatively do this much better than everyone else, regardless of how much it might cost. But that's maybe good for a future video. So maybe I'm taking these to the extreme. Hold on. 10 tier 4, 5 tier 5. Let's do 5 tier 5 and let's say 12 tier 4. If you think it should be different numbers, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Playtime definitely goes way higher than that. Let's go 400 hours. I think that's very possible. Tier 3 goes way higher. Let's say 20 of them. Maybe you're not really collecting the tier 2 sets. You definitely have a bunch of the tier 1 sets. And the players base is a lot smaller. And then what we look at is the points per player gets really interesting. So I just want to double check the maths is right. Okay. So the big thing here is the number of players increased drastically. The tokens increased about a 5x, but the player 10x, but the players also increased close to a 10x. If we make the players maybe 20,000 and we maybe bump up passerby and drop core community, whoops, then it starts to make a lot more sense. And you've got about $46 USD for passerbys. I mean, they don't really play much, so $46 makes a whole lot of sense. For the casual players, you've got $250. They're playing quite a bit now, so it might not be worth them doing it if they're not going properly into the game. Corp community getting $2,000. Definitely worth the time investment. They didn't go too crazy, but definitely worth it. And the farmers are having a little bit of a trickier time. You really want to be at that upper perfection threshold to be maximizing the mainnet one. But during the private beta and the testnet beta, then it definitely makes sense to go quite hard because you can get to those upper echelons really easily and earn a big chunk of those ILV tokens. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys better understand how much you could earn from the Illuvium airdrop. Go get farming, guys.